Dana White Contender Series lightweight alumni will look to get back on the horse after a couple losses. With Viacheslav Borshchev, who entered the UFC at only 4-1 on the back of a Contender Series knockout of Chris Duncan, he even debuted in the UFC with a performance of the night knockout of Dakota Bush in early 2022. Since that fight, however, he has now lost back-to-back unanimous decisions and is 6-3 as a professional. On the other side of the cage is the youngster, Maheshate, who also debuted in the UFC with a performance of the night first-round knockout and then lost in his next fight by a unanimous decision against Rafa Garcia. Maheshate is only 23 years old and is currently 9-2. The UFC recognizes how big of a market there is in China for mixed martial arts and how big this scene is in East Asian MMA. Maheshate is a very big lightweight and he loves to strike. He's a 6-foot guy with a 71-inch reach and also has striking that makes him seem even longer in the cage when he fights at distance. He's a very exciting fighter to watch. He has pissed encounters that we've seen his knockout of Steven Garcia, and he stays calm in the storm of some of his opponents, which is a weapon for him to find the finish. He has sharp elbows, and on the front foot he uses every kick, which is advantageous with his height. With one of his elbows, he made Rafa Garcia lose 20% of his blood. There were news articles coming out after this fight from how bloody it was, with a perfect elbow that landed right here on his head, left him with a long gash, and he was bleeding profusely throughout the fight. Both fighters here are susceptible to being taken down, and the opponents that were successful against these guys had multiple takedowns in their wins. Borshchev gave up 20 takedowns in his 2 losses, and gave up more than 20 minutes of control time to his opponents. Maheshate, on the other hand, gave up 6 takedowns in his only UFC loss, and with 0 in the first round, he gave up 6 over round 2 and 3, and saw Rafa Garcia add up over 6 minutes of control time in only 2 rounds. What's good about this fight and the matchmaking here is that even though both guys are on losses via takedowns and decisions, both guys are predominantly strikers. Borshchev is a Russian kickboxer. Maheshate loves to stand. He has great kickboxing as well, great elbows, uses all of his weapons. I'm pretty certain this guy's a Muay Thai fighter, and both guys come from great gyms. So I am interested to see how this striking matchup is going to go on. And you know what? When you get 2 strikers like this who have had a past of being taken down, I'm super interested to see who's going to implement the grappling in this fight. When we're going to take a look at the lines here, odds-wise, we see Borshchev as the favorite for this fight at -160, whereas Maheshate is coming in at around +130. For these videos, I'm going to change up the style in which I do my predictions for videos. Because we don't have odds on over-unders, stuff like that, you will see that in the community tab where I will play my picks. But for the videos, we're going to go for 3 points. The first point is going to be correctly picking a winner. The second point will be, I'm going to give you the way I think both guys can win the fight. If that fighter wins and I am successful in predicting how they would win the fight, that is a point. And then finally, I'm going to do over under, and it could be 1.5, it could be 2.5, depending on where the lines are. So in this fight, we got the first who I think is going to win. I think Maheshate is going to win this fight. I think he's a longer, lengthier striker. Also like the fact that he's a little bit more explosive. To be honest, Borshchev is probably a little bit of a cleaner striker. He might have moments in this fight where he outclasses Maheshate, but I love the explosiveness, I love the diversity Maheshate shows, and I love the youthfulness that we get on the underdog here. I think both guys potentially could land a TKO victory. I think that's their best method of victory. And we see both guys' chins hold up, go to decision possibly, but if I'm going to do for my second point, I'm going to do both guys their best way to win, TKO, KO. And then finally, we got the over under 2.5 rounds. Now, I might contradict myself here because I just said that both guys' route is a TKO, but if I was to play the over or the under, we know most fights do go to a decision. Both guys are tough, both guys have chins, both guys are strikers that have really not been finished recently whatsoever. So I am going to go with over 2.5 rounds. I might be screwing myself with only potentially getting 2 of the 3 points in this new format we're doing, but that's the way I think it's going to go. My bets will be on the community tab if you care more about that, but that'll do it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed, remember, smash that like button and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.